So, with 62% of the votes, the winner of the Sports Booth Hughesy Memorial MVP Award.
Welcome back to the Sports Booth YouTube channel.
Hello.
It's a special evening.
Very special evening.
As you can see, we are here. We are looking very classy.
Yeah, this is the Sports Booth awards ceremony room.
Well, I feel like, there has never been an awards evening, awards night, an awards moment in Super Rugby. Like, they've never done awards. So me and Hughesy kind of took on the idea of, why not do it ourselves?
We're aiming to grow the game of rugby. And look, sometimes you've just got to roll up your sleeves and do it yourself. Whether Rugby Australia or Sansa or Super Rugby, whoever. If they're not going to do it, we're going to do it, because
100%.
What could go wrong?
What could go wrong? So what we did was we came up with a list of ideas. Mm-hmm. I put down 4 nominations so we could get a poll kind of going on Instagram. Yep. Sent it to Hughesy. Hughesy had a read over it, shared his thoughts, made a couple of changes, and then we sent it out to the people to kind of let them decide what they thought was
the People's Choice Awards.
The People's Choice. So, obviously MVP over in the NFL and NBA is done by writers, but we've given it to the people, because that's what we are. We're men of the people.
Exactly. We're just like Nickelodeon. All about choice here. There will be no sliming, though. No sliming here, though. So we put it out to you, great folks there, the fans of Sports Booth, and you answered in pretty strong numbers, not just in terms of like which way the results went. A lot of them were pretty tight run races, but in terms of those of you that actually got out and voted in these polls, and we do this as a bit of fun, but it is also for you folks out there listening and enjoying our content. So shout out to you guys for getting out there and voting, and we wouldn't be able to do this night without you.
100%. I think we've got about 1,300 followers on Instagram. We ended up with about 800 votes on the MVP one at least. So a good chunk of people, and it gave me some belief in myself that I know how to pick him, because what happened was, and I want to explain this slightly, I named a form All Blacks team, as I did with the Wallabies, of what I thought the Super Rugby. Now, the results of most of this voting has backed up my thought process from this team, specifically around Bowden Barrett, Sam Whitelock. So, again, it was great to hear everyone's thoughts. Even Paddy Ryan came in and gave us a message to be unhappy that the Crusaders versus Waratahs game wasn't up for Match of the Year, as many other followers said.
I did say in our initial discussion, I conceded because it was in the shock of the year. But look, Paddy, if you're a regular follower, I'm sorry for how much I've been slandering you, but not slander, but opinions. That's what we are here. We're a sports opinion network.
We tell it like we see it.
Exactly right. So, but I did think it should be in there. I conceded it could be in shock of the year, but again, this is the People's Awards, and the People's demanded we put it in for the voting. And we won't say anything a bit further about it. You'll just have to watch through the rest of the video to find out if it was the winner.
100%. So what I basically did was got a few messages about a couple of awards. We reran some awards, putting the winners up against some of the people that had messaged in and kind of said, why is this not here? Why is not that not there? So I thought that was the best way to go about it. Without further ado, I feel like we should get into our first award, Hughesy.
Yeah, so let's take a look here at our awards. So we put a number of these up. Everything from, as we said, MVP. We've got Coach of the Year, positional awards. So this is sort of a combination of like the Dally M's and the NFL awards nights, definitely. I think. 100%. Now, I believe our first award here is going to be for Tackle of the Year.
Yes, it is, Hughesy.
So, Luke, why don't you run us through the nominees?
So the nominees are Hunter Pasami.
Yep.
Hunter Pasami, and then Dalton Papali'i and Rieko Ioane. So, obviously, Hunter, the hitman, was always going to be there. So we thought, you know what, we've got to give him his hits. So it was
we felt that he was going to be in there no matter what. We felt we had to split up his votes amongst 3 different tackles because it would just be overwhelming otherwise.
100%. So I think it was his tackle against Nick White, his tackle against Noah Lolosio, and then Goodwin from the Force. And the winner of the Tackle of the Year is
Hunter Paisami against Goodwin from the Western Force with... Are we going to reveal the vote numbers or?
Yeah, the winner. We can get the winner.
Yeah, so So to give a bit of a breakdown of the votes here, it was a bit of a tight contest in this one. So that tackle received 32% of the votes. Dalton and Rieko received 30% of the votes, so only 2% between there. But Hunter's other tackles, his one versus Noah Lolosio, got 21% of the votes, and his tackle versus Nick White, which was my personal favourite, received 17% of the votes.
What I like to see from this is the fact that Hunter actually made up 70% of the votes.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You can say, yeah, but he actually was probably detrimental to himself with the voting. I must say, Dalton and Rico were up for a while there, and I was about to be gobsmacked.
Upset.
That I'd put Hunter in 3 times and he wasn't going to win it, but thankfully a late run from
We
him.
would have had to redo our shock of the year and put that vote in there.
Yes, so that was hit of the year. Congratulations, Hunter Pasami, for winning the first award on our award night.
Yep, hopefully the only thing Queensland wins tonight. So for those that don't know, we are recording this on the eve of Origin 2. So hopefully the only thing Queensland wins tonight.
On to the second award, and I'll run you through it. It was the try of the year. So a hot category, and we had Danny Toala versus the Hurricanes. Obviously, the match winner, which I think the commentary was up there with probably the best commentary of the year as well, and made the try just as good. Dylan Peach versus the Crusaders, as the Waratahs upset the Crusaders, who just slicing through on the backline move. It was quite nice. I thought that had to get in there. Artie against the Blues, the match winner to win it 33-32 was our third one. And then lastly, Mark Talia versus the Rebels diving in the corner. And again, another hotly contested.
Yes, so this one, look, there was, the winner had a bit of a margin in this one, but I felt like all of these were very worthy contenders for try of the year. I mean, biased New South Wales fan here, I thought the Dylan Peach try, that was my vote, revealing some inside information there. I thought that was a tremendous one. And it wasn't just Dylan Peach, it was the whole team, especially Izzy Parisi. But without further ado, the winner of the Try of the Year award is Artie Sevilla against the Blues with 40% of the vote.
Yeah, and it was a slow moving vote, this one actually, because I think Danny Toala versus the Hurricanes got off to an early lead. But this try was so impactful. The way it happened, you know, the Hurricanes were down for so long. The Bale and Sullivan fend on Roger Tuivasa, Sheck, the actual finish by Artie Sevilla, a very deserved try. And I actually quite like what the voters did here, because there is a lot of these, you know, it can be, this is 16 odd weeks ago now, we're looking back. So, you know, history wasn't in its favour, where we had to go back quite a distance. And
Absolutely.
So I quite enjoyed that from the voters.
And it is a bit of history, that game as well, because it's the only game the Blues lost this year. So
until
the grand final. Until the grand final. We don't talk about that. We did both pick the Crusaders in that one, but still, it's just no one wants to see that. No one wants to see that.
On to the next award, Coach of the Year. So 4 nominees: Darren Coleman from New South Wales Waratahs, Leon McDonald from the Blues, Dan McKellar from the Brumbies, and Razor from the Crusaders.
Yeah, so
Robinson, for those who don't know.
Four very worthy candidates here, and honestly, I mean, look, I think recency bias in that the most recent two have coached in terms of their game was the last sort of took a few of the votes here. I'm going to preview, and I think we'll say the winner, and then I'm going to give my thoughts on this, because I think one coach in particular was very disrespected here. But look, I'll let you announce this one. The Coach of the Year, the Sports Booth. Should we name this award? Yeah. The Sports Booth Chuck Ardron Coach of the Year award goes to
Scott Robinson, Razor from the Crusaders. A fantastic job taking the Crusaders to yet another victory. Just narrowly, 37% over Leon McDonald's 27%.
It was his dance. I think his dance got him the
break dancing got him over the line. Yeah, I think the people like that. They like to see him showing some personality.
Yeah, and I think, you look at his record as well, undeniably great. And we talked about this in the last episode of the podcast, and he adds to that legacy of the Crusaders potentially being the greatest sports franchise in sporting history. And his record, I think, is something like 100. He's 100 games, and he's something like 86-14 or something like that. So, or 87-13, something ridiculous like that. Like one of the highest winning percentages of all time. Now, what I am going to speak on here is I will break down. We said Razor got 37%, Leon McDonald 27%. I think the Australian coaches were a little bit undervoted here. And for the job that they did, coming into the season where no Australian team was expected to take any games at all off any New Zealand teams, the job Dan McKellar did to push the Blues to the brink in both games that they played, to and to otherwise be known as the Kiwi killer, thanks to his team's record this year, I think to only receive 14% of the vote is pretty bad. And Darren Coleman, 22% of the votes, the complete reversal of fortunes for the Waratahs under his 1-year stewardship from basement dwellers not winning a game to into the final series. I think both of those coaches did an amazing job. And look, obviously, Razor and Liam McDonald have done a great job. They're definitely blessed with more talent, though, than what these Australian coaches are. And I think that you have to know how to coach talent, though. You have to know how to bring out the best of them. But I think you look at what Dan McKellar did with clearly a lot lower level of talent than the Blues, and to push them that far, as well as taking out the Hurricanes, the Highlanders, and the Chiefs. Yep. I was about to say the Rebels there, the Chiefs. I think Dan McKellar deserved a bigger portion of the vote.
It was probably the one area, and probably speaking too soon before we get there, where it was a clear New Zealand favouritism on the voting. And I'd be interested if I went back and kind of worked out where people actually came from, if it was a fully New Zealand voting system or a bit of both. But I just think, it was a very good point from you. But we'll move on to the next award that I have on my list. But
it is Shock of the Year.
Shock of the Year, okay.
Shock of the Year. Now, this one was a tight race. This one had a lot of great options. So to run you through the candidates, first up is the Hurricanes versus the Blues. As we said, the only loss for the Blues of the year until the grand final. Moana Pacifica versus the Hurricanes. So the Hurricanes shoe on the other foot here, where they're the subject of the upset. And I think really no one saw this coming.
100%.
No one saw this coming. Next one is probably, for my mind, was the most impactful game of the Waratah season, which is the Waratahs versus Crusaders win. And I think really solidified the Waratahs' belief in themselves. And then the last one was one that I think might have changed the course of history, in that the Brumbies had their seeding changed in the final series, and it was Moana Pacifica versus the Brumbies, where the Brumbies lost to Moana Pacifica. So, interestingly enough, Moana Pacifica in here twice, and for the games that the first year franchises win, they're going to be in there, because and especially to win them over not the bottom dwellers of the competition.
When you compare Moana Pacifica's wins to the Fijian Doodles wins, as great as the Fijian, bet Moana Pacifica, their wins were against the Rebels and Moana Pacifica. Moana Pacifica's wins are against the Hurricane and a hot ship Brumbies team at that time. So, massive win for them there.
Yeah, so looking at the votes now, as I said, between the top two, this was a very, very close one. And revealing some numbers here, 6 votes between them. 6 votes. 6 votes. And that is 6 votes is, I think, I've got it right here, is 2%. Of the votes. I was about to do some quick maths in my head. I'm like, we've already got the percentages here. We've already got the percentage here. So the winner, without further ado, of the Shock of the Year is
Moana Pacifica versus the Hurricanes, just pipping out Hughes's Waratahs.
Waratahs versus Crusaders. Look, I understand. I think it was always going to be between those two because of the history of those two teams, or with Moana Pacifica's case, the lack of history and what they had to do coming into this season, and the Waratahs not winning any games last year. So I think those two were always going to be the big ones. And I think Waratahs and Crusaders rivalry, I'd say rivalry in that we just don't like the Crusaders very much. Out of all the New Zealand teams, they're the ones we hate the most. So
fair enough. That's everyone's team.
Yeah. And look, they're the one we beat in the final to get our Super Rugby Championship, so they'll have to wear that for the rest of their history. But yeah, so 6 votes between them, as we said. Moana Pacifica versus Hurricanes getting the award. So Moana Pacifica not only getting a great win, but also getting an award. So we will be shipping that off to Moana Pacifica at some point. Shock of the Year against your Hurricanes.
Yeah, it was interesting just looking at these results and looking at the teams involved. So the Moana Pacifica game versus the Hurricanes, I like what you said with the history. It was very much their first ever win. It captured the moment of Super Rugby, really.
Yeah.
And it was the fact that happened, I think, got them over the line here. Now, for me, and someone else mentioned this in the comment, how the Brumbies versus Moana Pacifica didn't get more votes is a little bit surprising, because that was a fully strength-sided Brumbies team that went to Moana Pacifica. Moana Pacifica had a red card in that game, whereas the Hurricanes game, it was actually a weakened Hurricane side. So it was interesting that didn't take more votes away, but still a good result for Moana Pacifica.
Yeah, I think because it was sort of the end of the season, I think a lot of people discounted it because it's the final week, and that might have played into it. Now, before the next award, because there's one missing one here in the poll that we have to remember to include. So throughout the season, we've been giving out our Oscar Ox Alcock Nice Guy of the Week award. Now we have the year award for the nicest guy in rugby, and we had a couple of candidates for this one. So, Luke, do you want to run us through the candidates?
So I kind of changed this one up. Normally we had 4 nominations. I decided there was only going to be 2.
Yeah.
And it was going to be James Blackwell against James Blackwell. Because I thought, you know what? He's got to go up against himself, because he wouldn't want to accept the award without a little bit of competition.
Yeah.
As a nice guy
he's that nice.
He's so nice, he would I need someone to go up to. So I said, you know what? Let's try and see what he goes up against himself.
Yeah. The only guy that can be nicer than James Blackwell is James Blackwell.
Exactly.
And lo and behold, who's won the award? James
Blackwell, yes, exactly.
So James Blackwell wins the Oscar Ox Alcock Nice Guy of the Year award, Super Rugby edition. Congratulations, James Blackwell. Yeah,
yes,
well
exactly.
done.
Well done. Congratulations, an award for the Hurricanes. I think we are now moving into positional awards.
Yes, so we're starting our positional awards here, and we're going to start from, I think, least important to most important positions. We're going to start with the outside backs here, and then we'll finish up with the front rowers. The front rowers, also known as the engine room of a team. So, obviously the most important players there.
Now, I had a very good question here, and someone messaged into me, and when I first read the message, I was like laughing, like, you're a joke. He messaged and he goes, why is Dylan Peach not up for the outside of the year award? Yeah. He said, look at him over Tom Wright. And now Tom Wright's been fantastic this year. And so I kind of just went off there. I wanted a couple Aussie, or, I know Habosi had been great. So our nominees were Lester Whanganuku, Will Jordan, Tom Wright, and Vinyana Habosi. So I wanted a good spread. I thought that was a good spread. I thought that was the right manoeuvre. I went back and looked at the stats. I was greatly wrong in this. Now, Dylan Peach should have been up over there on Tom Wright. Tom Wright, the only stat when I looked out for all the stats that Tom Wright had over Dylan Peach was tries.
Yep.
Line breaks, Dylan Peach had. Tackle breaks, Dylan Peach had. Meters, Dylan Peach had. It was fascinating to see, and then to go, okay. Now, to be fair, I go, Tom Wright got 9% of the vote. So Tom Wright didn't win, as I'm announcing early. So I don't think it would have made a difference. That's why I didn't rerun those votes. But to that guy who messaged me, very correct. He did deserve to be in there.
He did deserve to be in there. And also, I don't think he didn't start the season playing on the wing, I don't think, Dylan Peach. I think the first game we saw, he was playing in the centres for that game.
He may have been,
because he really turned it on in the later half of the season.
He came into his form really well.
100%. So considering, whereas Tom Wright obviously more experience there, so it's interesting to see those stats go that way. But as we announced, Tom Wright is not the winner. So between our other 3 nominees, the winner of the outside back of the year, the Sports Booth outside back of the year, Super Rugby, is
Will Jordan.
And a clear winner in this case, over 50% of the votes, 53% of the votes to the All Black fullback, obviously for the Crusaders in the Super Rugby. And look, I remember I watched the final, and I watched the Crusaders versus Blues, and I watched the semi-final as well between the Crusaders and the Chiefs. And the Crusaders, the effort Will Jordan put in the Crusaders versus the Chiefs game impressed the hell out of me, even more so than the final. And it was off the back of his defensive work. So not only has he got, as we all know, his amazing attacking ability, but he always seemed to know where to be in defense to shut down anything the Chiefs would throw at the Crusaders. And I think he was, what was he? Was he World Rugby Player of the Year?
Breakthrough, because he's going to be World Player of the Year this year.
That's right. Use your predictions. That's your prediction. Breakthrough Player of the Year last year. not breakthrough player anymore, well established now.
Yes.
Well established now, and looking to build a legacy in Super Rugby and on the international stage. So that was outside back of the year, the sports booth outside back of the year, Will Jordan of the Crusaders.
Let's move on to the centres. So we've
Yes.
got inside, outside centre, second five for all the New Zealanders out there who know how rugby positions work. I put up 4 players, and I felt like these were the 4 right players. And I went 2 outside centres, 2 inside centres. So I went the 2 inside centres, Ira Simone and Quinn Tupaia from Brumbies and Chiefs, respectively. Now, Quinn Tupaia was a question one. I could have gone RTS. I could have gone David Havili as well. I was very close to going Havili, but I thought, A for RTS, I thought Ioane's in there, so I don't want 2 Blues players. And I went Quinn Tupaia over David Havili. For the outside centres, I went Izzy Parisi from the Waratahs and then Ioane in the centres for the Blues. Now, I think this was our biggest gap, biggest winner.
I think so.
By far. So take us through the results, I guess.
Okay, so the winner of the Sports Booth Luke Bowden Centre of the Year award is Rieko Ioane with 62% of the votes.
That's our All Black centre.
Yeah, so the next closest was Izzy Parisi with 20% of the votes, Quinn Tupaia with 10%, and Ire Simone with 8% of the votes. So very emphatic voting from our listeners there.
Yeah, and I actually like what they did with Izzy Parisi coming in second because, again, it kind of backs up our point. We thought he would have had a fantastic season, but it backed up that everyone also, even though, he only got 20% of the votes, it was to be next best to Rieko Ioane is no bad thing. No. So.
And ahead of those other 2 as well. So there we are. Rieko Ioane, congratulations. The award for this one comes in the shape of a bust of Luke's head. Mustache not included. So you will be receiving that in the post.
Yes.
Next up, we have another very contentious one. We have half of the year here. So our nominees for this one... Look, and I think people will be able to tell who was closest between this one, and because it's a debate we've been having as well. And I believe a post even went up today from our own Luke Bowden about these 2. So our nominees are Beauden Barrett from the Blues, Richie Mo'unga, Brad Weber, and Tate McDermott. So
now I'm just going to stop you before you get into this because it actually one of my mates, Ben Hamilton, messaged me and he said this is controversial a little bit because he said this isn't league. We don't play halves. Like, there was only going to be clear 2 winners here because fly half is such a, everyone sees them as the superstar of the team, as I, first 5 myself, no. But the scrum halves never really stood a chance. Now, I kind of said, if I was to do that, I'd have to break up the front row. I can't have the front row splitting them up and then go to the halves and go first 5 and halfback. I said, those 2, the halfbacks, these pretty little boys don't deserve it. Like, they don't deserve their own spots. So... I'm going to run through the results and then I'll let you announce it, Hughes.
Yep.
So we had Beauden Barrett, Richie Mo'unga, 2 massive. Out in front, no doubt about it. So sorry, Brad Weber and Tate McDermott. Unfortunately, you missed out.
Yes.
But our winner for the half of the year, Sports Booth half of the year, is...
Beauden Barrett with 47% of the vote and Richie Mo'unga in second place with 39% of the vote.
So all those people that said, Richie Mo'unga's not in the form All Blacks team, stop it. You all voted as well. Yeah. Beauden Barrett as the half of the year. So I want a little bit of an apology from everyone at least to go, Luke was partially right.
Yeah, well, you won't get one. So that is our half of the year award.
Into the big boys, Hughes. This is your time to shine.
Now into the actually important players in the team. We've got Loosie of the year here. So I think this one had very strong contenders all across the board. And I feel like maybe some partisanship may have gone into the results here, but that's fine. This is the People's Choice Awards. But our nominees for the Loosie of the Year Awards were Rob Valentini, Artie Savia, Ethan Blackadder, and Dalton Papali'i. Now, not the most even distribution of votes here, but pretty even. I think this is... In our other votes, there's usually been one sort of lackluster nominee. In this case, all of our nominees received a decent amount of votes here. So
Lois is 17%. So you're up there, like you're fighting. There's a fight going on.
Exactly. So our Loosie of the Year award. Luke, I'll let you announce this one. Our Loosie of the Year award, Sports with Loosie Super Rugby of the Year award goes to
my man, Adi Savia, Hurricane superstar, legend, absolute number one hero, favourite player of all time, greatest player in the world, should have won MVP. But yes, Adi Savia wins Loosie of the Year. Second place, and I really like this, was Rob Valentini. And I honestly think, had he not had his injury and missed about 4 or 5 weeks there, he would have been very close to pushing Adi Savia here. He was on a run of form like I haven't quite seen before. Had me a little bit nervous as an All Blacks fan and seeing him going so well. I was like, I do not like that. I would rather you stop, which luckily his hamstring did.
Yep.
And he was unable to kind of get, he wasn't unable to get the form back, but it just halted what the Rob train was doing a little bit there. So I think, again, like you said, it was 36% to Adi Savia, 25 to Rob Valentini, 22 to Dalton, and 17 to Ethan Blackadder. Across the board, a good fight from those Loosies.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think it's reflective of the skill level we have at the position. Next up, we have got Lock of the Year, which we are calling the Fraser England Lock of the Year Award. Now, our nominees for this one, Luke, I'll let you run through them, are...
Tupavai from the Chiefs, Sam Whitelock from the Crusaders, Darcy Swain from the Brumbies, and Jed Holloway from the Waratahs.
Yes, so this one, it was another one sort of battle between two, but then one sort of clear candidate ran away with it towards the end. Now, spoiler alert, it wasn't either of the two Australians. It wasn't either of them. But the winner of the Sports Booth Fraser England Lock of the Year Award, Super Rugby, goes to Sam Whitelock from the Crusaders.
Congratulations, Sam. Plays a bit better than Fraser, luckily. And yeah, he was fantastic.
Not as good in lineouts. Fraser, lineout technician. Technician.
Again, Sam was fantastic when it came to that final, and I think that final stamped has taken this award. Like there was you couldn't vote for anyone else after that final, the way he stole lineouts. So yeah, I do feel a little unfortunate for the Australian blocking duo here. Darcy Swain and Jed Holloway did not stand a chance, and it was unfortunate because I thought they both had very good seasons and deserved to be there. I couldn't, when I was deciding this locking list, it was really tough to decide. Probably the toughest one, except for maybe the next one, the front rowers, to decide, because Tupavai had a great season. Josh Lord from the Chiefs had a great season. You know, there was the Blues. Tom Robinson had a great. James Tucker had a great season. And then when we came over to your side of the ditch, it was Ryan Smith from the Reds had a good season. Even Caden Niemville from the Brumbies had a good season. So there was so much to pick from. In the end, it was these four, and Sam Whitelock ran away as a winner. So congratulations to Sam. Fraser England Lock of the Year Award goes to you. Now it's the big boys.
Yes, now this may as well be the MVP. But I'm not sure why we bothered to do MVP after this one. But this is the Rowan Cook Award, Front Row of the Year. So take us through our nominees, Luke.
Yeah, it was an interesting bunch because I had to include at least a hooker, I thought at least one hooker, and so I decided Samasoni Takahihau from the Chiefs was my hooker of the year. Kurt Eklund was a close second, like I was very tempted to try and find a way to get him in there, but I decided here. So then I went him, and then three props that really stood out for me this year were Angus Bell from the Waratahs, Alan Alatoa from the Brumbies, and Ofa Tuingafasi from the Blues. And it was very tough again to select just those three as well.
Much like props, this vote has a very tight rig, very tight in the voting here. The lowest votes here was 20% from one of our candidates. And then the other votes were 35%, 22%, and 24%. So very, very tight here. Very, very heavily contested. And one of the highest voting numbers here from our listeners and viewers. So knowing what the important awards are. So, Luke, I'll allow you to announce the winner. So, without further ado, the winner of the Rowan Cook Front Row of the Year Award, Super Rugby, is...
Samasoni Takahihau from the Chiefs. The hooker came through a really late surge on this one. Angus Bell got off to one of the hottest starts of voting that I've ever seen out of all of these awards. I think Angus Bell was at one point 80% after like 30, 40 votes. He got off to a hot start. He managed to get wrangled back in by Takahihau. He finished third, and Ofa Tuingafasi finished second with Alan Alatoa rounding us out. But again, it was such a
It was
Such
a
a
close.
close
I think
voting,
this is our closest contest between 4 candidates.
Definitely.
So again, showing that the people care about front rowers, which we like to see.
100%. Let's move on to our first of kind of more than just those nominees, but a team of the year now.
Yeah, team of the year is an interesting one as well because there's so many different things to look at for team of the year. There's obviously, you can look at the regular season results. You can look at the finals results.
Look at improvement year over year.
Exactly. You can look at improvement. You can look at who exceeded expectations. I think all 4 of our candidates here really embodied each of those ideals. So running through, then we've got the Crusaders who won the final. We had the Blues who had the best regular season. We had the Brumbies who exceeded expectations the most, and we had the Waratahs who were obviously the most improved team of the year. And I think the result on this one might surprise people because I'm gonna go ahead and spoil something here. The Crusaders didn't win. The Crusaders, so thankfully, the Crusaders
they don't win this one.
They won the final, but they don't win Team of the Year. And I really like this because I think Team of the Year is not just about who wins the grand final. I think it involves all 4 of those aspects, but then also what makes a great team is a great story as well, and a team that's fun to follow along, a team that every week you're asking questions, can they keep going this way? What's going to happen this week for them?
100%.
And the winner of the Team of the Year award is the Blues. So they may have lost the grand final, but they win the more important award, which is the Sportsbooth Team of the Year award. And narrow margin here, 40% to the Crusaders, 36%. So evidently... and I think that's fair enough. The other nominees, the Brumbies got 13% and the Waratahs got 11%. Even as an Australian rugby and a Waratah supporter, I think that's fine. I think, they, much like the Waratah season, the fact that they're in contention for such an award is a massive improvement on last season, and that's what their season was about. The Brumbies were definitely up there. I think if they'd won their semi-final against the Blues, they would have been more in contention for there. But I think that where the Blues really took it is that all season long they looked strong, and all season long they looked interesting and like they could be a contender. Whereas the Brumbies, it wasn't until we started seeing the games against New Zealand that they really started to shine. Because in their games against the Australian teams, they didn't look like they were running away with them. There were a lot of close games. They dropped games as well. So congratulations to the Blues. A fantastic season. Unlucky not to walk away with the Super Rugby trophy, but great season.
This has made me think is there should be a minor premiership.
Yeah.
There should be a minor... They should be celebrating something. Like, if everyone voted here their Team of the Year, I know, like we said, there's many... aspects of Team of the Year. But I think they should be happy with their season and have some reward out of it. So would like to see a minor premiership brought out. Yes. Next award, Hughesy, what are we on?
So we have got Game of the Year. Now, this is the one we received some feedback on from Monsieur Paddy Ryan himself. And so we had... So with this one, you might have to take me through. We had 4 initial nominees, but I think then we did some re-voting on this one and narrowed it down to 2.
So what we did is, first 4 games I put up was the Blues versus the Brumbies, Moana Pacifica versus the Hurricanes, Hurricanes versus the Blues, and the Blues versus the Crusaders. And what I got from the feedback was not just Paddy, but about 5-6 messages saying, where's the Crusaders versus the Waratahs game? Fair enough, I thought. I said, I'm going to let the voting run, and then I'll put it up against whoever wins this voting. Yep. So we're going to announce who won this voting to see who came up against.
So of our 4 nominees, the voting percentages were the lowest at 18%, then 22%, then 26%, then 35%. So not even a huge margin between all these games. But the initial winner, so round 1 of Game of the Year, so the minor premiership of Game of the Year, if you will, goes to the Blues versus the Brumbies, 35% of the vote. Now for the final. Right, for the final. So we had Blues versus Brumbies and Waratahs versus Crusaders. 2 tremendous games, 2 games in which it was Australia versus New Zealand. Australia pushed New Zealand to the end. One of them they come out on top. The other one they don't get the chocolates at the end of the game. But here, I think the people made their will known, particularly the New Zealand fan base, I think, made this one known. And the winner and the grand finalist winner of Game of the Year is the Blues versus the Brumbies. And look, I think for me, it would be very hard for me to pick between these two because my innate bias for the Waratahs game and the Waratahs win. But then also the Blues versus the Brumbies game, the Brumbies should have won that game, and they pushed the Blues right to the edge. You could have put either of the Blues versus Brumbies games here, to be
100%.
honest.
And what I kind of thought in my head was, I was right. Like, I had the right teams, the right moments, but the vote was a lot closer than I thought it would be, the end voting of those two. So for all those who messaged me, deserve to. Maybe I ran it back again, but we had our winners in the end. It was the Blues versus the Brumbies game.
Yeah, people's choice, and we listen to the people. So now we've got our final 3 awards. We've got Rookie of the Year, Most Improved Player, and then
the big one,
the Alex Hughes MVP award. That's why I saved myself till the end
last,
here.
Nice.
Gentleman always finishes last. So, Rookie of the Year award here. Now, some big candidates here. We've got Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, obviously a big name coming in from rugby league. We have Aidan Morgan. Now, I'm going to butcher this next name. Tamosi Tavanawe.
That was bloody good, mate.
Yeah, and Vinaya Habosi here. So, look, there was, and I think, I don't think this award was ever in doubt, really.
No.
And we might need to rename the award here because not only was this player Rookie of the Year, they were coming after having not played rugby union for the last, 7 or 8 years, maybe even longer.
More, yeah.
Even longer than that. To switch from a code where you were one of the top players in that code, in fact, winning the MVP award in that code, and coming over and not only being successful at this level, but being one of the better players at this level and immediately impacting your team. Immediately, you could see that RTS brought with him an attitude change to the Blues as well, 100%. And a belief in themselves. And Roger Tuivasa-Sheck is the winner of the Rookie of the Year award and a well-deserved spot in the All Black squad because we see this a lot with players switching to union for a chance to compete in the World Cup. You get the sense that their heart's not really in it. Sam Burgess. But then occasionally you get those players who are just so passionate about representing their country and are so passionate about rugby in both codes that they can make the transition like this. And Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, well deserved and wins the Rookie of the Year award.
Now, with this one, I must say, I had a message from the same guy who told me that Dylan Peach should have been in the outside of the year. Said, why is he not in the Rookie of the Year? And I said, that was an oversight from me again because I went through so many players looking for rookies to make sure they hadn't played a year and completely skipped on Dylan Peach. That's how good his year was I didn't think he was a rookie.
Yeah.
So, again, apologies. I don't think he beats out RTS, so that's why I didn't rerun the vote. But another good pickup from that fan as well.
Yep.
On to the second to last award.
Yes, the Most Improved Player of the Year award. So, this one, there was an emphatic winner in this one. But some very worthy candidates. Luke, if you want to run us through the nominees.
Yeah, so the nominees firstly was Lester Whanganuku from the Crusaders. Then it was Will Harris from the Waratahs, Mariano Mikeale Tu'u from the Highlanders, and Manasseh Mate'ale from the Force.
And the winner with 58% of the votes is...
Lester Whanganuku, and it was an easy... I knew when I was writing this award up, I tried to find a competitor. I saw Will Harris's stats from the year before, and I was like, that's my guy I can put up there, and he didn't stand a chance, unfortunately.
No, he still had a tremendous season, but not enough to take out our MIP, Most Improved Player winner, Lester... Last name.
Whanganuku.
I'm not going to attempt it. Yeah. Now we come to the big one. I think this award, I don't know if many people will be surprised by this one. Now, we only had 2 candidates for the Sports Booth Hughesy MVP award.
Hold on. So this is a similar situation to the Game of the Year. So I first of all ran a 4-person poll. Oh. That's why. So no, it's all right. Hughesy's got his... I don't think
you gave me that one.
I'm tricking him. This is a setup. No, so I first of all ran a 4-person MVP award. I went with Adi Savia, Richie Mo'unga, Rob Valentini, and Rico Ioana. And I thought those 4 were a pretty good selection. I quickly realised my mistake when half of the year was going in a different direction to Richie Mo'unga.
Yeah.
If Richie Mo'unga had one half of the year, I probably wouldn't have done the second iteration of this. But what happened was a lot of votes went out. Adi Sevilla, Richie Mo'unga, Rob Valentini, Rieko Ioane, MVP. Rob Valentini came in fourth, 14% of the vote. Rieko Ioane, third, 19% of the vote. The man I think should have won it. Adi Sevilla, second, 25% of the vote. So the big winner with 42% of the vote was Richie Mo'unga. But I thought, you know what? This doesn't sit right with me. Just doesn't sit right with me. Something doesn't feel right. Bodie hasn't had a shot. I should have had him in there. Should have at least had him in there over maybe Rob Valentini. I was feeling bad for the Aussies. Maybe go over Rieko Ioane, but I thought I didn't want 2 first fives. I thought I made the right choice. I made the wrong choice.
Yeah. So then you did 2 first fives anyway. After thinking you shouldn't do 2 first fives.
I was wrong. I rewrote my mistakes. You know, sometimes it's understanding you've made a mistake and fixing it. Mm-hmm. So I put the 2 best first fives in the world up against each other. Husey, how do we go?
So with 62% of the votes, the winner of the Sports Booth Husey Memorial MVP Award, Beauden Barrett.
Hey, congratulations to Beauden Barrett. Yes. Absolutely stunning. The Blues have come out of this quite well, I'd say.
Filling up the trophy cabinet. A lot of silverware for the Blues
that
today.
Super Rugby title. They were getting all of these ones we'll be sending them.
Exactly right. They're all plates with Luke and I. Like we've got the Sports Booth coat of arms, and then Luke and I on either side of it, like in the Australian coat of arms with the kangaroo and the emu. Yeah,
that's us. That's us, and that's the MVP award.
That's the MVP award, and then all the other awards, different sort of stuff, but they all like plates or views of our head and things like that. And yeah,
it's nothing to do with us, of course.
Yeah,
but that is all the votes. That is all the awards we had. Let us know, of course, where we went wrong, where you went wrong.
Yeah, we didn't vote. We didn't decide this.
Well, we did vote, so we
voted, but we didn't make the decision. We put our one vote in there. We had the same power in this as you did.
So, but let us know in the comment section. Let us know where we went wrong. Let us know where we went right. Where was the best result, the most surprising result of today?
I know where you went wrong. That turtleneck.
That's rough, mate. That's rough.
I'm kidding. You look good. You look good. Yeah.
We finished on a positive note, as always. Thank you for joining us.
Yes.
We will love and we'll be back doing this again next year for round 2 after another Super Rugby Pacific season. So
maybe the last Super Rugby Pacific season.
Maybe a last one. So who do you reckon, early shout, MVP next year?
MVP next year? Good question. Tane Edmed.
Tane Edmed of the Waratahs. Yeah. Interesting.
Waratahs get to the final but lose.
Lose. I see. So his MVP for next year. My MVP for next year is going to be a bit of out left field. It's going to be Samasoni Takahihau from the Chiefs. A hooker. Big man won our hooker of the year this year. I think if the Chiefs can improve on that, he keeps playing the way he's playing.
Not only hooker of the year, won front row of the year.
Front row, over props. So that's our early calls. But yeah, again, thank you for joining us. We will be back again next year. We're back again probably tomorrow for our podcast, so join in there. But for now, goodbye.
Peace.